السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد. Do we need to give some time or everyone settled down? Alright. Yesterday in the introduction we spoke about a lot of information which I told you today I shall be showing it to you. So before we get into the book, before we get into the book, those things which we discussed yesterday, I'll show it to you today. And during the class, if there's any suggestion you want to make, or something you want me to write down over there, then don't hesitate in letting me know. Because yesterday towards the end you told me that you prefer me writing those statements and those sayings of the Salaf. So we missed a lot of that, but don't worry, it is recorded with me. I don't know if the students have recorded. I've given you complete permission for that. The first thing to begin with is this book right in front of you. It is called Al-Mughni. Al-Mughni is considered as one of the most important and informative and quite detailed books in the school of Hanbali, Al-Madhab Al-Hanbali. And the reason I'm showing this book to you, and you can see the amount of volumes this book has, somewhere from 14 to 16 to 18, 20, depends on the publication and depends on the date and year when this was published. So this book over here, the reason I'm mentioning this to you is to speak about this lady over here, which I mentioned to you yesterday, saying Fatima al-Baghdadiyya. I told you that she is from the students of Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi. And over here, if you see, she knew most of Al-Mughni, which is the book of fiqh of Hanbali, by heart. She knew most of the book. And this was, like I told you, 14 to 16 to 18, and depends the number of volumes. Sheikh Ibn Kathir or Imam Ibn Kathir al-Dhahabi have mentioned her, and these are actually her colleagues, because all of these are the students of Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi. Can't hear you.
Can you please lower down the echo voice in the mic because it was
Over here? How do you do it? Numan, can you help me over here? Can you help me with the mic? Who knows to operate this? You can help me. Is it alright now, or do we need to make any adjustments? Fine? Perfect. Jazakallah khair. And you can see that Ibn Kathir rahmatullahi alayhi has mentioned her. You can see Al-Dhahabi rahmatullahi alayhi has mentioned her. And in the end, in the last line, if you see, she was no less than a great scholar, a jurist, a leader of the Muslim women, or the women in her time. Why was she not famous? Why we don't know about her is because that's something has become the norm over here, that the ideology that scholars are from the men, not from the women, or women have household issues and all those duties, so they cannot learn Islam to the extent that men do it, which is not right. One of my scholars, one of my teachers, he told me about our colleague, which I don't know, and he told me about her that she completes the recitation of Quran by heart without seeing every single day. She completes the recitation of Quran, one of the students of Islamic studies from my colleagues. I don't know who she is because we don't speak about the women in our classes with the names. And this is in Quran also, that due to the respect of the women, they call them with kunya. Or in the books of history also, very few women have been known throughout the history from the Muslims with their identity or with their actual names. Otherwise it is or something like Abdullah or something similar to that. You see that Abi Lahab wa Tab. Allah the Almighty refers about the wife of Abu Lahab by saying وَامْرَأَتُهُ حَمَّالَةَ الْحَطَبِ. Her name is not mentioned in the Quran because this was from the culture of Arabs. They never mentioned the name of women. It is considered degrading and disrespectful in that culture. So this colleague of mine, her my Sheikh mentioned, our Sheikh confronted her asking, why do you do it? She said that if I don't do it, I'll fall sick. Because that's become her habit. So if you don't do something that's your habit, you're going to fall sick or feel irritated. Like I've seen people with the addiction of drinking tea. If they don't drink tea, their eyes turn red or they get headaches. So this was why I mentioned this. And this is something I wrote, and it is there on many social platforms. I mentioned some of it in this. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi mentioned to you yesterday. Al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi. It was his mother who transformed him to Al-Bukhari. Ahmad ibn Hanbal. His mother used to wake him up and prepare him for Islamic studies. Sufyan al-Thawri rahmatullahi alayhi. His mother used to stitch clothes and weave clothes to make an earning to support her son. So these are a few which I've mentioned. I wanted to continue, but I never got time for that. So I pointed out towards this in my class yesterday. And I told you about getting arrogant or feeling proud of your knowledge, and we should seek refuge from Allah the Almighty. And the reason is this person right here, if you see, Abdullah Al-Qasimi. Al-Qasim is actually a place in Saudi Arabia. Al-Qasim University is known for that, Jami'at Al-Qasim. And Ibn Uthaymeen rahmatullahi alayhi used to live in that area. Ibn Uthaymeen, the teacher of the author of his book we are studying, Bakr Abu Zayd, his teacher Ibn Uthaymeen, rahmatullahi alayhi. You see what he said, a Saudi Arabian writer, you look into Wikipedia about his life, he was one of the most controversial intellectuals of the Arab world because of his radical change from defending Salafism, which is Islam, to defending atheism. And he wrote books, like first he wrote books in proving what is the right Islam, and when he became an atheist he went on to write against his own books and against all that. And the reason is because he was considered as one of the most knowledgeable scholars in his time. It is said that he also knew Sahih al-Bukhari by heart. And look at the teachers whom he studied with in the beginning of his studies, and after that he deviated, Sheikh Amin al-Shinqiti. And all these are some of the known scholars of this era, like legendary scholars. The reason is, it is clearly said by the scholars that he got deviated and misled because of his arrogance, of his knowledge that nothing is going to happen to me and I know everything and there's no way my intellect will lead me to something that is wrong, something similar. And the scholar about him, I told you that his family, the women of his family were the ones who produced him to become this scholar before he went and studied from the male teachers. He said that I'll try to translate the important sentences in that video which I'm going to play right now. I don't know if it's going to be audible, wallahu a'lam, but we'll just see the names. I'll keep the microphone over here. The video is about 6 to 7 minutes, wallahu a'lam, 5 to 6 minutes, and he says that before the boy leaves his home to go and study at an institution, the proper Islam in the way we are studying over here, before that, the women prepare him.
هذا الأصل هي قراءة مفتوحة ولا ثانية؟ طيب شيخ ندخل في الأمور الشخصية. ما هو سر المرأة في حياة الشيخ محمد؟ يعني أتكلم عن الجدة نجاح، وأتكلم عن الوالدة، أتكلم عن الزوجة، وأتكلم عن الأخوات.
I hope the students of Asbar might understand this Arabic, which is Fusha, or do you want me to translate it? You need me to translate it? Okay, I'm going to give you a gist of it. I'm not going to translate word by word. He is the interviewer, and he's asking this scholar over here. He's asking him, what is the secret of the women of your household? And then he says about some women who were famous from his household, like his grandma and all those few women. So the Sheikh, when he starts to respond, he names every female from his family, like with the relationship he shares with them, and the books he studied. So you see the video is about 6 minutes almost. You see the way he names, and I'll tell you whenever he mentions the lady, inshallah.
بالنسبة للنساء كما تعلم هن نصف المجتمع وهن مربيات النصف الآخر، وأثرهن على الأولاد وعلى الطلاب أبلغ من أثر الرجال لأنهن يبدأن من أعدائهم.
Their effect on the society is more powerful than the effect of men on the society. That's what he just said. And those are the first groomers and caretakers of the nations. He actually speaks Fusha, but he speaks it really fast, so if you have anything you can ask.
أول ما يدرس الطالب يدرس على النساء. وهذه البداية دائما في جدلية معروفة عند الشعراء والأدباء، هل العبرة بالبادئ أو العبرة بالأحسن؟ هذا خلاف. قديما قال يزيد بن معاوية يقول نحى حبها حب الأولى كنا قبلها وحلت مكانا لم يكن حل من قبل، وهذا يرى أن الجديد أبلغ تأثيرا. ولكن الآخر يقول ولو قبل مبكاها بكيت صبابة من سوداء شفيت النفس قبل التندم ولكن بكت قبلي فهي جري بكاها فقلت الفضل للمتقدم. وصاحب القاموس يقول الحق أن الفضل إلى أفضل الله المتقدم لا المتأخر. فكل ذلك ممكن، لكن عموما النساء في المجتمع الإسلامي لهن تأثير كبير في نفوس الأولاد وفي تربيتهم والأمهات.
نريد في حياتك الشيخ، نريد في حياتكم.
أنا حياتي مالك.
So it's not about this Sheikh that when you ask him a question, he starts with an introduction. So like 1 minute 47 seconds, he's just giving an introduction. So the interview stops him. It happens in many of his interviews that the interviewers have to stop him and remind him to talk about that specific question, because he starts giving introduction. And right now he was talking about the poetry that's written on the services of women for the nations.
ليست نموذجا ولا
شيخ أنا سمعت أن الوالدة يعني التعليم الأول كان عن
نعم. بالنسبة لي أنا تعلمت عن النساء في الصبايا كله، فجدتي النجاح رحمة الله عليها التي درستني بالعقيدة والفقه والسيرة.
His grandma, Najah Rahmatullahi alayha, she taught him Aqidah, Fiqh, Seerah, and just focus on the names he's mentioning right now. Grandma.
ونحو الصرف.
يقال أنك أنت حافظت القاموس المحيط؟
لا ما أظنها تحفظ قاموس المحيط، لكن عمتها كانت تحفظ قاموس المحيط وأخوها كان يحفظ قاموس المحيط.
ما شاء الله.
لكن هي تحفظ عدد من الكتب المعروفة.
ما شاء الله.
وقد تميزت في السيرة والحديث
ما شاء الله.
والتفسير أيضا. ومن أغرب ما رأيت فيها إتقانها لحفظ القرآن حيث تحفظه بالمقلوب إذا سألتها عن أي كلمة.
So you had the subject he's mentioned that he studied from his grandma alone, and now he says that his grandma knew Quran so profoundly and so perfectly that she used to read it backwards also. It was possible for her to read it backwards. This was also known about Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. A person comes to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu and says a poetry. Ibn Abbas has never heard that poetry. And the moment he finishes, Ibn Abbas says the complete poetry to him and also says it backwards to prove that he memorized it when he was saying it, and that was his memory capacity.
التي قبلها تقولها مباشرة. نعم تحفظه بالمقلوب جميعا. أيضا اشتهرت بالحفظ الأنساب، علم الأنساب اشتهارا كبيرا. أيضا عمة والدتي الشيخ عائشة بنت عبدود رحمة الله عليها هي له.
Now he's talking about عمة والدتي, which is the paternal aunt of his mom, paternal aunt of his mother.
حفظت القرآن
ما شاء الله.
وحفظت كثيرا من الناس وقد عمرت في طاعة الله.
So she was the one who taught him Quran, and she was a really known teacher for Quran in that community where they lived.
ومتعها الله بحواسها وليس لها ذرية، فكانت تحفظ الناس القرآن وتعلمهم الأحكام.
ما شاء الله.
وقد عاشت على ذلك حتى وفاتها، هي تشتغل بتحفيظ الناس تعليمي.
ما شاء الله.
وأيضا خالة أبي فاطمة بنت عتيق.
So he said that about his mom's maternal aunt. He said that she did not have any generation, no children. So she made up for it by teaching Quran, and that's how she had many students. Next, now the third lady he's talking about is Khalatu Walidati, which is the maternal aunt of his father, Khalatu Walidi.
رحمة الله عليها كانت من الأبلغ من أثر في من النساء لأنها أيضا ما لها ذرية، وأنا كنت بمثابة ولدها أنا الذي أقوم بخدمتها بكل شيء. وكانت هي تعلمني في كثير من العلوم، وهي التي كانت أيضا تمسك علي حفظ القرآن مراجعة وتؤدبني وتضل.
Khalatu Walidi, which is the maternal aunt of his father, she also did not have any sons, so he was like her son, and she was the one who used to help him in the revision of Quran after he has memorized it. And he's saying while he's smiling that she used to even hit me when I was memorizing the Quran or revising it.
نعم. وكذلك الوالدة حفظها الله، وعمتي أيضا أم البنين.
Then he mentioned his mother and his own paternal aunt.
رحمة الله عليها.
ما شاء
هي
الله.
من العالمات ومن المتقنات لكتاب الله. نعم.
والأخوات، لكن القصة كأننا عبيت للمتنبي في إعرابه.
لا ليس المتنبي، هذه قصة حصلت لي مع الوالدة.
أيوه.
نحن صغار أنا وأختي.
أيوه.
كانت الوالدة تشغلنا عن النوم قبل العشاء.
أيوه.
البادية ينتظرون مجيء البهائم.
أيوه.
تراح الإبل حتى تحلب ليتعشى.
أيوه.
فكانت تمنعنا من النوم قبل العشاء بالبرامج.
ما شاء الله.
وهذه البرامج بعضها قصص الأنبياء وبعضها قصص السيرة النبوية وبعضها إعراب.
أيوه إعراب.
وقد عرف عند الأمهات برنامج أنتجه أحد كبار العلماء والشيخ الإمامي رحمة الله عليه ويسمى تمييز المعنى. وهو يعلم
Okay, so he is now narrating a story that happened between his mother and sister, and he was actually going to say about his sisters also, his own sisters who taught him different subjects. But I guess you understood the point I'm trying to prove over here. And there are many other few tabs you can see I've left it, and inshallah we'll take it some other time. We'll get into the class now. So yesterday we had taken chapter number 1, and that was the introduction to the importance of the knowledge that we study. And this is chapter number 2, which is the methodology of seeking knowledge. Like, how do you seek knowledge? What is the procedure or the right method of seeking knowledge, which the Sahaba did, which Rasulullah taught the Sahaba, which the Tabi'in, the Atba' Tabi'in, Abu Hanifa, Malik, and all these scholars which you know, until today's time, even the scholars today, what are they doing? Allah the Almighty says in Surah Al-Qiyamah, لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به. When the revelation used to come down on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to hasten and hurry in memorizing what Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam is reciting to him and is bringing from the revelation of the Quran. Allah the Almighty tells Rasulullah not to hasten and not to try to mug up everything and remember everything. لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه. The responsibility is upon us to compile it and to teach you and everyone to recite it in the right manner. From the tafsir of this ayah, one of the tafsir which is a really beautiful one is, when was this ayah sent down to Rasulullah? It was sent down when Rasulullah was hastening in memorizing and remembering while Jibreel is teaching him. So Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam is teaching him and Rasulullah is hastening in memorizing it. Allah the Almighty says, don't do it. Wait, we'll give you time for that. So the tafsir which is related to this ayah, one of it is, when the teachers are teaching you, don't hasten. There is a time for asking questions, there is a time for revising, there is a time for noting down. So there is a time for everything. Give everything its specific and its due time and right. So this is one of the tafsir I came across in this ayah, لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به. I hope I'm clear with the point. Methodology of seeking knowledge. The first point in this is to know the knowledge which you're seeking, have a clarity about that knowledge and the levels in that knowledge. So when a teacher is teaching you, when you are sitting over there, there is a reason why he is a teacher and there is a reason why you are sitting in front of him. And then probably when you go to your own communities, you will be standing in the place of the teacher, and there will be others who are going to sit in front of you. And there is a reason for that. The reason is clear. He knows something you don't know. In your community, you know something which your community does not know. So, and they have put in efforts which you haven't. When you stand here, you have put some efforts. Those sitting in front of you have not put in those efforts. So you should know the levels. So when the teachers are teaching, and the default I told you yesterday, when the teachers are teaching, regardless of the subject they teach you, the default is we believe them to be truthful and honest in what they are teaching us. So when the teacher misses something, the benefit of doubt we are going to give them is husnul dhann. The benefit of doubt we are going to give them is that he deliberately missed it, because he knows something which we don't know. He has a reason behind it. That's one excuse you can make out. The second one is probably he's a human, so there is error, and it is due that he can forget or skip it without realizing it. So instead of blaming or instead of pointing out his mistakes, you have two ways you can do it. The one thing you can do is remind him If it is possible to remind him in front of everyone without embarrassing him or her, the teachers can be anyone. Sorry for the gender, which, I'm telling you from the beginning that it should not be discriminated on scholars or from the men. So I apologize for that. So you either remind the teacher or you ask the teacher what's the reason behind him leaving it. Proof, because we told that even akhlaq, we learn it from Quran and Hadith. Look at the Hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam had forgotten a few raka'at in the prayer when he was leading. And look at the Hadith where he increased the raka'at. How did the Sahaba communicate? Abu Bakr or Umar radwanullahi alayhim ajma'in was sitting over there, they did not dare to say anything. And there was a third Sahabi. He said, Ya Rasulullah, was there a revelation during prayer that told you that we should increase or decrease the prayer? Or is it something you have done without realizing? Or is there any revelation telling you something we don't know? Because the Sahaba knew that even during the prayer, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had the possibility of receiving revelation from Allah the Almighty. So Rasulullah said, what do you mean? And he said, Ya Rasulullah, you have left a raka'ah. So Rasulullah asked the Sahaba and they confirmed it. They stood and prayed again. They made up for the ayah, for the raka'ah. So you should know the levels. So for example, we're learning fiqh. The thing which happens generally when we are teaching is, I told you yesterday that, when we teach the basics for salah, for example, we say, I'll stand over there so that the brothers also can see me. I'm sorry, yesterday, there was a confusion yesterday that happened with me, is that I was considering them teachers because they always sit with the male staff. I realized later in the staff room that these brothers over here are also your colleagues. So when we teach fiqh, for example, we tell that keep your hand like this till your shoulder or till your ears or in between, and place it like this. That's all. Or place it like this, or place it like this. And we skip and we move on. The students start asking, what about this, what about this, and they start questioning what they know, which we're not teaching them. And the reason why we're not teaching is because it is comparative fiqh. Now you have to speak about the dalil, you have to speak about the evidence from where the scholars came with the lower version or whatever it is. Which yesterday I told you that everyone has a proof from the ahadith, but the most powerful in all these is this. So we always try to follow the nearest to Quran and Hadith if we don't have a clear idea. So the one which says to keep on the chest is the closest one to the Quran, closest one to the Ahadith. So why we skipped it? It's not because we want to hide knowledge, but it is because we're going to confuse you if you start talking about all of that. So this is what it means by levels. And also when teaching, you probably have something you want to add, but the teacher is not allowing you to leave it because there's levels. Now the teacher knows what's priority. BAIS, Islamic Studies, first year, what they need to learn. In the second year, you're going to learn something new. In the third year, you're going to learn something even newer. So you should know that. And over here, the method of keeping information in your mind. To be really honest with you, when I started Islamic Studies and I followed this, I realized and regretted knowing this really late. Because I was a student of schools and colleges and all that. I used to hate mathematics, or I used to hate some subjects, for example, not mathematics to be honest with you. But the thing is, there were some subjects we all hate, right? But then when I started studying Islamic studies and when I went into deeper sciences, that's when I realized that this can be used for every single subject you're talking about. Ask me about biology, I can prove it with this. Ask me about physics or chemistry or botany or whatever subject you want to ask me about, I can prove you using this. Memorize a concise book on it. So there are books in biology and physics and chemistry also, which give you important information you need to keep in mind to perfect that subject. Look up for those books and memorize those. Memorize in the sense you don't really have to memorize. Some things you really need to memorize. Some things you can not surpass them without memorizing. Same thing when it comes to this knowledge also. For example, when it comes to fiqh, how many arkan are there of salah? 5? 14 arkan. 13, 14. The ikhwan have something to add? The arkan of salah, how many are there? Which we leave, the salah will become batil, invalidated. How many are there? 4? Okay, I'm not going to tell you the answer because this is your subject, so it's better if you go and revise it. The thing I'm telling you is the differences of opinions over here. Why did it happen? Memorize it. Something you have to memorize. But let's say, for example, definition of fiqh. What is it? The definition of fiqh can vary because it's not something you have to memorize. You just need to understand it. Perfect it by studying it under a proficient sheikh. Look for your teacher when you learn. It is said about Islamic knowledge that it is a sacred knowledge from Allah the Almighty. So you need to look at those. فانظروا إلى من تأخذون عنهم دينكم. فانظروا إلى من تأخذون عنه دينكم. Look at those from whom you take your knowledge. How do you know which scholar is proficient? You go on Islam QA and look for the conditions, right? That happened. Look on Islam QA has an article on it which gives you criteria how to look for a proficient scholar or knowledgeable scholar. No, we don't do that because what they are telling you on Islam QA is something which is what do we say, like 100%. But in India, for example, if you sit to look for 100%, probably you might find like 3, 4, 5 scholars in all over the 200 million Muslims in India. 5. But if you go to Saudi Arabia, for example, you go to Egypt, you go to Somalia, for example, you go to Syria, these places where scholars are there, and these places where Islam Muslims are majority, for example, even though the number of Muslims is lesser than the Indian Muslims. What I want to tell you is over there, in every 100 you'll find 2 scholars. In India, in every 100, how many scholars do you find? 0 or 1? Maybe nothing. The reality is you will not find anyone in 100 Muslims. Like in Aspire, how many students are there? Any idea? In this building? I have no idea, but I think like maybe 200, for example. Wallahu a'lam. Is it too much? 200? How many? 70? 100? Okay, 100. How many scholars do you have over here? Sheikh Abul Layth? In the men, I'm not going to talk about women. Allahu a'lam. I don't even know the females. Sheikh Abdus Salam to mention. We have Sheikh Afsar. We have Sheikh Abul Layth. I don't know any 4th scholar over here from the men. In the women, if we have, yeah, good. So in how many? In 100 teachers. This is in a religious environment where all of those who've come over here have come to learn Islam. That's the situation over here. But disperse in your community. Disperse. For example, we in India have joint families, right? So in your joint family where you have your uncles and aunts, you are the one student who is learning Islamic studies. How about the others? It's a very big blessing of Allah if you have your cousin who joined you in studying that. It's a very big blessing. I seldom come across such friends who have their friends or who have their brothers or sisters also studying the same which they are studying. So you don't go to Islam Q and put an article on WhatsApp, degrading all these scholars in your community. No, you should look for the scholars in your community. You compare them with the guidelines you've been given. Some of the basic and most important guidelines to know who a proficient scholar is. Some of the most important guidelines you need to know who a proficient scholar is: his knowledge in Quran, his knowledge in Hadith, and these two come if you have knowledge in Arabic. if you have knowledge in Arabic language. So anyone who tells me, for example, that I know Arabic language, I'll tell him to open Sahih al-Bukhari, for example. I'll tell him to translate it and explain that hadith in Arabic, do the explanation, or give a 5-minute talk. And the Arabic you speak should not be from Durus al-Lughat al-Arabiyya or al-Arabiyya bayna yaday. It should be the Arabic of Quran and hadith. Why? Because we're learning Quran and hadith, so we need to know that. But the knowledge of Durus al-Lugha, yeah, that's the basic book. That's your foundation. You perfect it, you can go further. You don't perfect it, you're not going to go further. So you need to perfect it. So there are basic guidelines: the knowledge of Quran, the knowledge of hadith, the knowledge of Arabic grammar, Arabic language. So these are the three most. When it comes to Arabic grammar, it's an-nahwu and as-sarf. I hope you're aware of an-nahwu and as-sarf. Good. So these are some few things you should be aware of. So sadly, when you come across the people in our community, there are many people who do the tafsir of the Quran, and when you look at their knowledge in Arabic or knowledge in Quran, knowledge in Hadith, they have nothing. So what gave them authority to do this is because they were defying this. And when they defy this and they come out as scholars or teachers of Islamic studies and du'at or da'i or whatever the titles they use, you see the differences and the enmity and the disparity that's going on in this society. The third point is do not engage yourself with long books. Long book means compact books. Like for example, I showed you Mughni. Now if you go and open Mughni, you're not going to understand anything. Even if you can speak and understand Arabic, you'll not understand anything. Because Mughni has a pattern of writing it, has a style of writing it. In Mughni, if it is said qawluhu, it does not mean Quranic ayah. But in other Islamic books, if you see qawluhu, for example, it is qawluhu subhanahu wa ta'ala, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ, for example, which is translated over here. You can see Allah the Most High said. In Arabic, if you open the same book, it will be written qawluhu ta'ala. Qawluhu ta'ala, see, the Most High, ta'ala. That's the style of writing Arabic books when you refer to Quranic ayah. But when you open Mughni, qawluhu is not Quranic ayah or anything like that. Qawluhu in Mughni means the writer of that book, Ibn Qudama, what did he say? So, and if he said qala in Mughni, if there is a word called qala, what does it mean? So you see there is a pattern of understanding this book. So if you go and read it on your own and then you start debating, you see what's going to happen, right? Compilations on many different subjects before perfecting the basics and becoming proficient in it. I told you, if you don't perfect Durus al-Lughat al-Arabiyya, you're not going to understand Arabic of Quran and Hadith, which is the further level, right? So if you want to learn that Arabic, وَقُرْآنًا فَرَقْنَاهُ لِتَقْرَأَهُ عَلَى النَّاسِ عَلَى مُكْثٍ وَنَزَّلْنَاهُ تَنزِيلًا الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابَ يَتْلُونَهُ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ. And all these ayat, how many of you over here, without looking at the English translation, can do the i'rab completely? I want someone to do the complete i'rab. Who? I don't want anyone to do it, but someone give me with confidence, like raise your hand and say, Sheikh, I can do the complete i'rab. You know i'rab, right? In Arabic grammar, there is something called i'rab. وَقُرْآنًا, what is it? It is masdar, it is fa'il, it is isim, and if mabni or it is mu'arab, faraqnahu, it is, so you do it for the complete ayah. And then you say this is jumla ismiya or fi'liya or something like that, or jumla i'tiradiyya. How many of you can do it? No one, right? I'm not degrading you, not humiliating you, wallah. That's not my intention. I'm telling you, everyone should know the levels. So to come to that level, there are books written on how to do it. To come to that level, you have to perfect Durus al-Lugha. Not just Durus al-Lugha, any basic book in Arabic. I hope that point is clear, right? Do not swap from one concise book to another without any necessity, and this is from impatience. I'll make it a little bit shorter so you can see all of those points, because this is blocking it. I'll resume the fourth point. Why? Skipping from one book to another book without completing one book It's not going to give you anything new. For example, we have Durus al-Lugha, we have Durus al-Lugha, we have Al-Arabiyya Bayna Yadayk, we have Al-Nahw al-Wadih. These are two books I'm quoting to you. Durus al-Lugha, when it begins with a specific pattern. And then Al-Arabiyya Bayna Yadayk begins with a specific pattern. And then Al-Nahw al-Wadih, it begins with a specific pattern. So when you open this, then you study this, and then you study this without completing this one and the second one and the third one, you're going to stick to the first level, which is knowing the difference between hada, hadi, dhalika, tilka. Because all the books start in that same pattern. So complete one book, go to the second book, you can skip the pages which you know, and then look for the new stuff, take it. So do not swap from one book. This is also when you're reciting Quran. Don't skip the surah because it is difficult for you. Go to the new surah, which used to happen. Even I tried that. Trust me, when I was memorizing Quran, I tried it and I lived to regret it. Because, you know, the pattern and the sequence in your mind, it gets disrupted. So any subject it is, for example, when we are revising for our subjects of the schools and colleges also, you might be able to relate with this. When you don't understand one topic and you go to the other topic, you're subconsciously worried about what's happening in the other topic and the time is running out and all that. Capture the benefits, and this is the translation. It's not capture. Qayyid. Qayyid means to capture in Arabic. So he's translated it linguistically. It means to write it down, note down. There is a poem in Arabic which I'm not able to recall. The poet says that the knowledge is like a deer which keeps on hopping and running away from you. And then he says, قَيِّدْ عُلُومَكَ أَوْ قَيِّدْ غَزَالَكَ بِالْحِبَالِ الْوَاثِقَةِ. It means to capture and to tie down your knowledge with powerful ropes. So if you come across any benefits, write it down. And yeah, the truth to be said really frankly and honestly is that you cannot write down all of the knowledge at once. You might be missing. So compare when you finished with your colleagues. You might have something but your colleagues don't have it. And that's how you help each other. وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Mentally prepare yourself when you're seeking this knowledge. And also have that passion. Because trust me, when you don't have passion, you're not going to learn. No matter how powerful and how knowledgeable that person is and effective that teacher is sitting in front of you, you're not going to learn anything. And the reason is because you don't have it from yourself, the preparedness and the zeal to study this knowledge or the passion. Parents are forcing me to study medicine, or parents are forcing me to study engineering or something like that. You know what's the consequences of that, right? So you should make up in yourself to study that certain science. And preparation also is not just external preparation, it also comes within. Like look at the story of Al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi. Al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi, when he was writing Sahih Al-Bukhari, every hadith he used to write down in that book. He used to offer 2 rak'ahs. He used to do ghusl and offer 2 rak'ahs for every hadith. So imagine how much wudu and how many times he must have done the ghusl out of the respect. And we have many other scholars who when they are sitting down or coming to the lecture, they do wudu, they read 2 rak'at of prayer, and then they come inside the lecture hall to teach. So when you as students, when you're coming, read 2 rak'at, do wudu, ask Allah to help you understand. Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi, known as Shaykh al-Islam, he himself says that when I used to not understand some topic or it used to get complicated to me, I used to go to the abandoned masajid, to the abandoned, barren masajid where people no longer pray. He used to go over there to seek the blessing of Allah and the pleasure of Allah, because, Ya Allah, no one is praying over here, but I have come over here to pray, and I have come over here to give this place its due right. He used to come over there and ask Allah the Almighty, Ya Mu'allima Ibrahim Allimni wa Ya Mufahhima Sulaiman Fahimni. Ya Mu'allima Ibrahim, I'll write this statement. I told you to remind me if I'm missing and if I'm not writing it down, if you are interested, right? Ya Mu'allima Ibrahim Allimni. Is it readable, or do you want me to write it even clear? Is it understood? Understood? Can you understand? Yeah. Where Mufahima Sulaymana Fahimni. The teacher of Ibrahim and the explainer to Sulaiman, because Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, when he came across an issue which is there in the Quran, Allah the Almighty helped Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam solve that issue. And Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, the sole teacher of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam in the biography of Ibrahim is Allah the Almighty, who taught him to identify him, to be led to Allah the Almighty. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was alone when he found Allah the Almighty, which is there in the Quran also. فلما جن عليه الليل رأى كوكبا قال هذا ربي فلما أفل قال لا أحب الآفلين. When Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam saw the stars, he said, this is my Lord. Then when they disappeared, he said, my Lord is not going to disappear. فلما رأى القمر بازغا قال هذا ربي فلما أفل قال لئن لم يهدني ربي لأكونن من القوم الضالين. When he saw this moon, and the moon then disappeared, what happened? Then when he saw the sun, فلما رأى الشمس بازغة قال هذا ربي هذا أكبر. These are the 6 points which we spoke in detail, and like the levels, the beginners, the intermediates, the advanced. I told you everything, and then he's mentioning for every subject what book you should learn. Oh, this explanation completely I gave it to you. See, for example, over here, just focus on this. I'm highlighting it to you. In Fiqh al-Hanbali, because Bakr Abu Zayd was one of the scholars of the Hanbali school of thought. Look over here what he says. You should begin with Zad al-Mustaqni, which is the beginner's book in fiqh, and then you go to al-Muqni. Al-Muqni is for the intermediates, and then you come across al-Mughni, which is the most advanced level. You see the levels? So I was explaining this to you, right? It is there over here. Now see, in Tawheed, which book do you learn first? Yeah, and then when it comes to Arabic grammar, which book? I told you, right? If you don't learn Durus al-Lugha, you cannot learn others. Look over here, Al-Arabiya, Arabic grammar, because Arabs already know hada, so they don't need to learn Durus al-Lugha and all that. They go for a book known as Al-Ajurumiyya. Al-Ajurum is the scholar, Al-Ajurumiyya. And then after that, Mulhat al-I'rab, and then it comes to Qatr al-Nada, and then it comes to Alfiyyat ibn Malik. Alfiyyat ibn Malik is actually Arabic grammar summarized in the form of poetry, which goes back to the first poem, memorize it. Alfiyyat ibn Malik has 1,012 couplets. It begins with قال محمد بن مالكي أحمد رب الله مالكي, and it goes on till the end, and inshallah I'll show that to you, not now because I don't want to waste time. I'll show how Alfiyyat ibn Malik is. It is the most advanced, you can see. So, and then when it comes to fiqh, you saw that. When it comes to tawheed, this is based on Arab students, so it's better. You ask your teachers, for example, we have Shaykh Abdus Salam over here, you can ask him, Sheikh, for every subject, like for inheritance, what do I learn? Al-Rahabiyya in inheritance. I'll show these books to you, inshallah, tomorrow. Al-Rahabiyya in inheritance. You cannot understand when you go and try to read it. Why? Because it's also in the form of couplets, and it has 78 couplets. It has 78 couplets, if I'm not wrong. No, not 78, sorry. 178 or 188, because it's almost near 200 couplets. So I'll try to show it to you tomorrow, inshallah, not right now, because it's there in my mobile, but then I cannot present my mobile to you. It's going to be really difficult. So I'll show these books to you and how you should learn. But these books are not for you, because these are for Arab students. These, for you, you have to go to books written for non-Arabs. You'll have to go to books written for non-Arabs. For example, you have to go to Lower over there, and to acknowledge, acquire knowledge from the Mashayikh. We spoke in detail about this, and when it comes to preparation of the soul, I just recall it. When it comes to the preparation of soul, have you written it down? When it comes to the preparation of soul, like I told you, preparation is external and preparation is internal. When it comes to the preparation of soul, there is an Arabic couplet which is really famous by Imam al-Shafi'i. He says, "Shakawtu ila waki'in سوء حفظي شكوت إلى وكيع سوء حفظي فأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي." This is one. وَأَخْبَرَنِي. It is the continuation, but these two are written simultaneously. It's written like this and then here, but I wanted to write it, so I wrote it one by one. وَأَخْبَرَني بِأَنَّ الْعِلْمَ نُورٌ وَنُورُ اللَّهِ لا يعطى لعاصي. شكوت إلى وكيع سوء حفظي فأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي وأخبرني بأن العلم نور ونور الله لا يعطى لعاصي. Imam al-Shafi'i rahmatullahi alayhi says, I complained to my teacher Al-Waqi' ibn Jarrah, one of the teachers of Hadith, سوء حفظي, my weakness in my memory. فأرشدني إلى ترك المعاصي. So he told me, he guided me to leave sins. وأخبرني, and he informed me بأن العلم نور, that knowledge is light. ونور الله لا يعطى لعاصي, and the knowledge of Allah, and the light of Allah the Almighty is not given to a sinner. So when you have difficulty, remember, you need to do tawbah and istighfar. There are scholars from the history who used to go and do tawbah and istighfar, give charity when they used to have issue in understanding a certain topic of the subject, so that, they'll understand what's happening. Is it clear to you? Informative? Understood? Any difficulty? Anything? No? Any questions? Or you want me to take questions in the end, all together at once? What about the brothers? Do you have any questions? No? It means the subject is very easy. Or maybe, it is like I'm teaching very good. I don't want to be proud of that. I'm just telling it to you. There's two possibilities. Either the subject is really easy for you, or either the teacher is sitting really good. Chapter number 3, the manners with the Shaykh or the teacher, which I have been constantly informing you and narrating to you from the beginning of these classes. Now for this, I'll play a few stuff or videos you can see. This Shaykh over here is from the scholars of Masjid al-Nabawi. He teaches his Masjid al-Nabawi. You can see the chair in Masjid al-Nabawi. And he lives a really private life, like he does not come in media and all that. So those who know him are only students of Sharia Islamic studies. And recently Shaykh Abdus Salam told me that he's from the same time, like he, Al-Usaymi, Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr, for example. I hope you are aware of Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr. All of these, Sheikh Abdus Salam told me that, they are like senior, junior by 1 year or something. So they're all of 1 year. I was not shocked when Sheikh told me that, because I'm aware of his knowledge, Sheikh Abdus Salam's knowledge, and the teachers from whom he studied and learned. So when his colleagues are like this, no wonder why Sheikh Abdus Salam is like that. So trust me, what knowledge we're getting from Sheikh Abdus Salam is something which does not define him properly, because there is so much more that he does not teach due to limitations. And personally, being his student, when I was from the beginning levels, he'd not informed me a lot of things. But when I learned it on my own, I came for discussions, I realized that he was hiding it from my own good. So just make the best you can out of his presence. And this Sheikh, he stands out with one quality, and that is he stops his lectures when he sees some disrespectful act going on. I'm going to play this. You see, the question is, I don't have to play. لماذا أنا جالس هنا? Why am I sitting over here? Why did he ask this question? Is because the students were using mobile, or for example, before he stood up, the students stood and left. And there are many videos you can see. Even the style of questioning, if the questions are not delivered to him in the right way, he reminds 1 time or 2 times and then he ignores the question. He said no. And from the next time if this question comes, I'm not going to reply, or I'm not going to say anything, because you are لن أجيبك لسبب قهري. I'll not answer to you. I'll never answer to you. So you see, and he devoted his life completely for that, to the extent that when he was teaching Arabic grammar, he fainted, and when he resumed his lecture after a few minutes, the students told him to leave the lecture for that day. When he came back, he joked, saying that Arabic grammar is so difficult that even it is said that Arabic grammar is so difficult that it will cause you dizziness. He was just joking and he laughed with that. But the reality is Arabic grammar is not that difficult when you get the perfect and right teacher. You see, بدأت طلب العلم في عمر 40. هل أحفظ المتون أم أقرأ الكتب? I started seeking Islamic studies or knowledge of Islam at the age of 40. So should I memorize or should I simply read books? So I told you about levels over here. Look at your age, look at your capacity, look at everything. But by default, don't lose your hope. Like, I'm 40 years old, so can I memorize Quran? No, that's not the way. Give it a try. When you cannot do it, then you leave it. Shaykh Abdus Salam himself told me he knows a friend of his, Shaykh Abdus Salam's own friend. He memorized Quran when he was 60 years old. And for a change, before we get into the topic, for a change, this same Sheikh, he gives a lot of information, a lot of extra stuff which is not related to the subject, because there's benefit in it. something he did over here when he was in the lecture of Sahih al-Bukhari. So the lecture of Sahih al-Bukhari is of two types. One is Jard or Sama', and the other one is Diraya, where the Shaykh explains to you. So when Sahih al-Bukhari is in Sama', like for example there is a reciter, he reads, he says like قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى فمن كانت هجرته. They actually read even faster than this, and they have the book right in front of him, and everyone has their books open and they start reading. They're just listening, and then they get ijaza bis-sama'. Ijaza bis-sama' fi Sahih al-Bukhari. I'll show it to you if my Facebook is running. Where is it? Well, I sent it to someone from the Sheikh. I'll show it to you tomorrow. Ijaza in Sahih al-Bukhari. I'll show it to you tomorrow, inshallah. So, this Sheikh had that lecture. So in that lecture he said that those who've missed the hearing of some of the ahadith, for example there are 7,000 ahadith, some of them came late or they slept for example or something, so they missed like 2 ahadith or they missed like 3 ahadith or something like that, and Sheikh told, you can come later on and you can hear it from me, or you can come and recite those ahadith, and then you will have ijaza bis-sama'. It is of many types. Kamilan, when you're writing, it will be written in your certificate. You have the ijaza, it will be written, you have heard it completely. Bifawt, which means with some miss. Bifawtin yasir, which is a little bit. Bifawtin kabir, which is a lot. So he told those who have a little bit of fawt, a little bit of ahadith they don't hear when it was being recited upon the teacher, you can come and read it, and it will become kamil. It will become like you have heard complete ahadith from me. So what happened was, when he was informing this, he said that today is Wednesday, Thursday is a holiday, on Friday from Fajr you will come to me. And then he says towards that the preference will be given to the sisters can come to me from tomorrow onwards. When he actually mentioned that tomorrow is a holiday, you should come to me on Friday. But for sisters he's saying you should do it from Thursday, which is tomorrow onwards. And he heard some faces laughing, and he saw the faces laughing, so he stops to say why he gave preference to the women in coming and making up for what they've missed. I'll play that to you.
التنبيه الثاني، لأن يوم الجمعة فجرا لا يوجد مجلس، فإن شاء الله تعالى الإخوة الطلاب من الرجال ممن عنده فوت يحتمل يأتي يوم الجمعة صباحا فيقرأ ما عليه من الفوت، ونبدأ بالأقل فما فوق، يعني نبدأ من عنده حديث ثم حديثان.
I think the internet over here. Wait.
التنبيه الثاني، لأن يوم الجمعة فجرا لا يوجد حديث ثم حديثان ثم ثلاثة، وهكذا ممن يحتمله المجلس. وأما الأخوات فإنهن يرسلن الليلة، يصورن الأفوات اللاتي عليهن، ثم يرسلن إلى الأخت المشرفة، ثم إن شاء الله تعالى غدا نقضي أفوات النساء. غدا بعد درس الفجر نقضي أخوات النساء، لأن يوم الجمعة النساء لا يأتينا، فنقضيهن إن شاء الله تعالى غدا. يعني أخوات النساء تكون غدا بعد درس الصباح، وأخوات الرجال يوم الجمعة يقرؤون بأنفسهن. واضح؟ وراك تضحك يا أنس.
So he saw some faces right now laughing, so he questioned them, why are you laughing? Because I'm giving preference to the women, and he goes on to explain now.
كأن أنس يعترض، يقول جاء في الحديث أخروهن من حيث أخرهن.
أخروهن من حيث أخرهن الله سبحانه وتعالى. Allah the Almighty said that the last rose in the Salah will be for the women, right? So the Sheikh is saying, like, you are quoting that hadith to me, telling me that I should give preference to the men before women. So Sheikh is now giving an explanation to his decision.
قلنا الله، فكيف تقدم النساء على الرجال؟ هذا اعتراضكم من قسمات وجوهكم. والجواب عنه أن هذا من أحاديث الفقهاء، يعني التي يذكرها الفقهاء ولا أصل له، فلا دليل على ذلك. والوجه الثاني أن النساء أحظ بالبخاري من الرجال.
He said that this hadith, أخيرهن من حيث أخرهن الله, this is not a hadith. He gave an explanation to that hadith is not hadith. Actually, it is a statement on the tongues of the people that it is a hadith. No. The first thing. The second thing is, النساء أحظ بالبخاري من الرجال. That statement is written over there. النساء أحظ بالبخاري من الرجال. The women are more deserving of Sahih al-Bukhari than men. Or they have more right. Haq means right. The women have more right over al-Bukhari than the men. And the reason is,
رأيكم لأن الذي ربت البخاري امرأة، فإن أباه مات وهو صغير. رضيت ولا لا؟
because the one who groomed Bukhari was a lady and his father had passed away. Moving on to chapter number 3, and I don't think we'll be able to complete this today because we have like 20 minutes left, but there's no problem. So, knowing the status of the Sheikh, the level of the Sheikh, and in the end of the book, in the end of the page you can see, call your Sheikh with words, that give respect in it or that show respect in it. For example, do not pester him and ask him excessive questions, one of those. And the second one is excessive questions in the sense, give time. Probably by the end of the lecture, the Sheikh has already answered your question. You don't have to stop the class for that specific question because probably the answer is going to come. And avoid calling him with his first name or his surname. Rather call him Sheikh, Ya Sheikh or Ya Shaykhi and Shaykhana, for example. These are the terms which are really common in Arabs. Your capital or secret is from your Sheikh. Your capital means your asset or your foundation is from your Sheikh, which means that you imitate him and you learn from him and you acquire your good deeds and good acts and speech. That's the reason that you are representing Islam. Be careful because you are a preacher of Islam indirectly. Follow his manners, his character, and the way he deals with people, the way he deals with the information that is there with him and how he is providing it to others. The Sheikh's enthusiasm in his lectures is really common that the energy of the Sheikh is a reciprocation of the energy of the students. So if the students are lazy and they're not participating in the class, or they are showing signs of tired or signs of lacking passion or something, it will be reciprocated in the teacher's actions and speech also. Probably he came with lots of preparation, and when he saw that the students are not participating with him or they're not giving him that due attention, he'll stop giving you all that. Writing what the Sheikh says, mashallah, you're doing it, I don't have to go into that. But don't exaggerate in writing down, in the sense that writing distracts you from the Sheikh's knowledge. But yeah, if you are to that level where every word of your Sheikh you can note down and that does not distract you, then you can do it. And personally, I'm one of those. If I listen to the Sheikh, I won't be able to focus properly. I'll have to have a pen. I'll want to write something, only then I'll be able to memorize and remember and keep the information. It depends on the students. It depends on the person. But what I mean over here in this point, or the author means over here, is that it should not distract you from the knowledge you are learning. And in today's time, the thing you can do is a recorder. You can use a recorder instead of that. But then the disadvantage is, depending on recording, is that when Sheikh is teaching and you miss something, like I'll go listen to the recorder, and Allah knows how many of you go and listen to the recorder. You can be honest with yourselves. Acquiring the knowledge from a muqtadir, an innovator, which means the person who does not follow the right Islam of Quran and Hadith, then acquiring knowledge from him is really dangerous. And the reason is, if he has issues in his aqidah, he's going to cause confusion to you. I'll give you an example. These are all examples. That's the reason I'm skipping. MashaAllah, we have finished the chapter number 3. I'm going to give you examples now of acquiring knowledge from the confusion that's going to occur to you when understanding the Quran. In Surah Al-Qiyamah, Allah the Almighty says, وُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاظِرَةٌ وُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاظِرَةٌ. The first is with God, and then إِلَىٰ رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ. إِلَىٰ رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ. This is to view, نَظَرَ, to view or see, right? Those who say that Allah, you have solid aqidah, right? Al-Mushabbiha, Al-Jahmiyya, Al-Ash'ariyya, no? Second year students must have learned it. So there are sects, or there are parties in aqidah. There is Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. All they do is Quran, Hadith, and those who have second year students from your friends, you have brothers in second year. If you don't have brothers, then inshallah we'll give you a special lecture in the class staff. But I think in the sisters we have second year students. Okay, so you can help out the first year student. I'm just going to give you a short introduction to that. Is that if you listen to this, it's going to be enough to you. Quran and Hadith. How do Sahaba understood Quran and Hadith? How do Sahaba understood the ayat? That's all is what Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah are doing it. But we have others called Mushabbiha, we have called Jahmiyya, we have Ash'ariyya. They started interpreting the ayat based on what they wished and how they understood. For example, إِلَىٰ رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ. There are phases, people are going to look at Allah the Almighty on the Day of Judgment, right? Those people say, how is it possible for you to look at Allah the Almighty? Allah is that supreme being, how can you look? So they are using their limited intellect and mind to imagine and to perceive that supreme being which is beyond the intellect of humans. If someone says that I can vision Allah the Almighty, or I can imagine how Allah the Almighty is, then that is not Allah the Almighty. If someone says, I have an imagination of how Allah can be based on the Quranic ayat, we'll say that's not Allah, that's your God, that's not Allah. Why? Because Allah is beyond the intellect. Because our intellect is limited, the intellect of Allah the Almighty is beyond the limit. Our intellect is limited, but the intellect of Allah is beyond that. So, when Allah the Almighty said that He has hands, or He has fingers, or He has face, or He has a leg, it does not mean this leg, or this hand, or this face. No, it is كَمَا يَلِيقُ بِجَلَالِهِ كَمَا يَلِيقُ بِجَلَالِهِ, as it suits to His honor and dignity. That's all. We're not going to say anything else. Imam Malik rahmatullahi alayhi was sitting in Masjid al-Nabawi giving a lecture when a person comes and says, what is istiwa? Al-istiwa. Ar-Rahmanu ala al-arsh istawa. What is istiwa? Imam Malik says a beautiful statement which I want you to remember and memorize it and use it for everything that questions you about Allah the Almighty to yourselves. Al-istiwa'u ma'loom. Or if we say the mercy of Allah, we will say ar-rahmatu ma'looma. But the statement of Ibrahim Malik rahmatullahi alayhi is al-istiwa'u ma'loom wal-kayfu majhool was-su'alu anhu bid'ah. Istiwa is known, that Allah is having that capacity of istiwa. Well, kayfu majhul, how it is to be done, that is unknown, majhul. وَالسُّؤَالُ عَنْهُ bid'ah, and to ask how it is from the bid'ah, it is not for you, because we will say كَمَا يَلِيقُ بِجَلَالِهِ, as it suits Allah the Almighty. So I want to tell you is that these people who try to imagine Allah the Almighty with their intellect or limitation, they said nadara over here is not to see, it means something else. Then the yadullah, the hand of Allah, it means power. And it goes on and the tafsir completely changes. Informative? Sorry? وَالسُّؤَالُ عَنْهُ بِدْعَةٌ, there is a statement after that. Yeah, there is a statement after that. Al-istiwa'u ma'loom wal-kayfu majhul wa-su'alu anhu bid'ah. And Imam Malik was really serious, right? So anyone who did some stupid things like this, what he used to do, he used to throw them out of his lecture hall. So he said, وَأَرَاكَ مُبْتَدِعًا فَطُرِدَ مِنَ الْمَسْجِدِ. And I think you are an innovator who came to create problems, so he ordered the students to take him out of the masjid. He was really strict about it. I left that part, but he reminded me, so I'll have to say it. So seeking knowledge from Muqtadi will cause you that. Complete deviation in understanding Quran. We have taken 3 chapters until now. Akhlaq with your own self, akhlaq with the knowledge you're dealing, akhlaq with your teacher. Comes to akhlaq of friendship, or manners or etiquettes of friendship. Obviously it is bad companionship. You should be aware of it. And the reason is because, as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, حامل المسك ونافخ الكير. حامل المسك ونافخ الكير. Do I need to erase this, or I have to leave it? Can I erase it? You're writing really fast. Allah. some of the students are really advanced. What they do is, when the Shaykh writes immediately, they take a mobile and capture. What I was saying to you, نافخ الكير حامل المسك. These are the words of hadith. I'm not getting into detail. I'm going to say حامل المسك ونافخ الكير. Hamil al-misk is the one who holds and lifts musk or misk. It is a type of it or perfume. Nafikh al-kir is the one who blows in al-kir. Never heard of this hadith? Nafikh al-kir is the one who deals with iron and all that metal stuff. When he blows into the iron to cool it up and to prepare it in his way. So that's his art. So when he blows into that burning furnace, what happens? The burning tandoor or furnace, what happens? All the ashes fly upon him. It makes it dirty, his face, his hands, his clothes, everything gets bad, right? The example of a good friend and a bad friend is of the hamil al-misk, the one who has musk in his pocket, or he carries it or deals with perfume, and the one who blows into the furnace. Because if you go to the one who blows in the furnace, what happens? Bad smell destroys your clothes, your look, your appearance and all that. You go to the person who deals with perfumes, you either purchase a good perfume from him, or either you leave because you don't like the price of the perfume, but you get that smell and aroma from him. Even if you keep the perfume in your pocket for a long time and then you just place your hand inside, you'll be able to smell that aroma. So that's the benefit of having a good friend. A good friend does not necessarily have to speak to you every day and maintain ties with you or message you every single day. A good friend, even his presence will make you happy and help you. Like for example, when you look at him praying, you will start praying. And probably if you're sleeping, it's time for salah, he comes and wakes you up or something. It's not necessary that you have to be with him every day. But whenever you look at him, you'll remind yourself about your purpose in life and where were you and how you transformed and all that. And bad companions, obviously, they'll be like, forget that stuff, you don't have to do that. You can leave it, or they'll help you in looking for excuses and concessions. We can do this, right? Or we can do that, right? Like for example, they like pepperoni pizza, so they'll be like, that's allowed, right? Like, because it is not from pork and all this, something like that. They'll try to do something. Can be cooked with alcohol? I have a Japanese colleague. He told me, can be cooked with alcohol? And it was very apparent from his questioning that he wants to get halal fatwa from me. A junior at the university where I studied, we can cook with alcohol. I said no. He tells me, but I live in Japan and there are no Muslims over there and the restaurants are all non-Muslims. So I said, why do you have to go to restaurants? No, that food we cannot cook at home. So you see, something or the other he's trying to get halal fatwa from. I'm not telling he's a bad student. He's a very good friend of mine. I'm telling you that it happens. And because he's not yet began learning Islam, it was really new for him to learn Islam. That's the reason he was in those things. But alhamdulillah, later on, living with us, not us, living in that good environment, he transformed to a great deal. So be careful of your friends. Does it mean you should cut them, the bad friends, completely off? No, if you cut them off completely, they're going to be misled. Who's going to guide them? Who's going to give them that good influence? Maintain ties with limits. So when they see you, when they look at you, they'll be like, we have a good friend. So at least in your presence, out of respect for you and out of the respect for the friendship, they'll be like, you should not do this. This happens in airplanes if you go, and the air hostess and all, if they identify you are a Muslim, in good airlines, not the cheaper ones where they don't know to deal with the customers, all they need is money. I'm telling you about those who have they should maintain their reputation, 5-star airlines or something. You know what they do if they identify you as a Muslim? and they have non-alcoholic, if they have alcohols and beverages and all those haram stuff also being given, you know what they do? They note down who are the Muslims and they prioritize them. So when they come to deliver food, they first go and give the food to them and the drinks to them, and then they come and distribute to the others. That's one thing they do. The second thing is when they come for juices or something, they hide the bottles of alcohol out of respect because they want to maintain their reputation. It's not because of Islam or something, it's maintaining their reputation. So they do it for money and for maintaining their reputation, that 5-star standard. So the bad friends also do it out of friendship. If you are good friends with them, and we live in diversity in India, it's impossible for us not to have friends from non-Muslims, or not to have, I'm not saying non-Muslims are all bad, no. Non-Muslims, some of them have really good manners which you can acquire from them. I'm telling you in general, we have good manners as part of worship, so we keep it in our life and practice it in our life because we expect reward, but they do it out of humanity and out of the moral science and etc., all that. And for example, they're listening to songs or they're watching some stuff which they shouldn't be watching. You know what they do when they see you? For example, they'll be like, no man, he's religious, we shouldn't do it. Or something, they do something out of respect for you. So don't cut off ties completely. And we have examples from Rasulullah, we have examples from those after them. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, his mother used to abuse Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And used to say vulgar words about Rasulullah. Abu Hurairah is the one who narrated the most number of ahadith, right, in 4 years of his Islamic life, in the lifetime of Rasulullah. He just saw 4 years of Rasulullah's life. When his mother said that, did he break ties with her? No. He comes to Rasulullah and says, Ya Rasulullah, make dua for my mother. Shaykh Rahman al-A'zami, rahimahullah ta'ala. How many of you are aware of Shaykh Ziya? No one? Shaykh Rahman or Ziya Rahman? Shaykh Ziya Rahman. His life, I have written it on my Facebook wall if you want to read it in detail. Some of those which I mentioned, I heard it from Shaykh Abdus Salam. It's not known to everyone, so if you want, you can go and read it, or inshallah tomorrow I'll present it to you. Some of the things, I prepare and come, and some of the things they come spontaneously over here. Shaykh Rahman al-A'zami, hafidhahullah, or rahimahullah ta'ala, he was born in a common family. And when he died as the lecturer in Masjid al-Nabawi, the same where Shaykh Uthaymeen sits and gives lectures. He also used to sit and give lectures over there. Shaykh Rahman al-A'zami, rahmatullahi alayhi, and he was buried in Baqi', the graveyard of Baqi' in Masjid al-Nabawi. The thing I want to tell you about him is that he was plotted to be killed and all that. He left his family, he left India. He studied in Jamia Abdus Salam in Rabat. He studied there, and over there also he created a record of completing his studies before time because of his hard work and zeal. And then he went on to study in Medina University, and then in Qura University, and then in Al-Azhar University. Then he came back to teach in Medina University, where he became the teacher of the Arabs and all, because becoming a teacher in Medina University means becoming the teacher of the Arabs and non-Arabs. One of his students happens to be Shaykh Abdus Salam, and they had a really close bonding. Shaykh used to come to Shaykh Abdus Salam's home even when he was a student, and that's how Shaykh Abdus Salam told me some of the things about his life which not many people know, which I have mentioned it in his out of respect for Shaykh in my Facebook wall. Because when I looked up after he passed away, it was not written about him in English, so I decided to write out of respect. The thing I want to tell you is his own family was tired of him because he was not giving up Islam. His mother went on hunger strike, and his sisters and brothers, everything. They finally decided to end his life. He had to run away, come to Rabat, study, then go to Medina. He became the professor of Medina University. He came to India. and he came to deliver a talk on Eid in his village. Announcements were made that the teacher of Medina University and Masjid al-Nabawi is coming to give a lecture in Eid in India. Everyone in the village gathered. Amongst those who gathered were his parents, who were still non-Muslims. They said that, we tried to kill him. Right now he comes as a royal guest from Saudi Arabia. He was given Saudi passport and Saudi citizenship. So he came as a royal guest and all that. So now why will he come and meet us? Because obviously we were trying to kill him. You know what he did after he led the Eid prayers? He came to his home, his parents' home. He sits with them, talks to them, and serves them. Even though he's of this status with all that security and all that, he's doing this to his two parents. And then he dedicated an amount of his salary monthly for his parents, and they were non-Muslims. His parents got really shocked. Like, why did he do this? He tells that this is my Islam, it teaches me this. He passed away in 2021, right on the day of Arafah, when the sun was setting for Eid al-Adha. Rahmatullahi alayhi. Now do you understand who Shaykh Abdus Salam is? Like one of the examples I'll tell you who Shaykh Abdus Salam is there is a Sheikh al-Suhaimi. He is a blind scholar, one of the senior scholars, and from the members of Al-Lajnat al-Da'ima al-Ifta, the Permanent Fatwa Committee of Saudi Arabia and the Senior Scholar Committee of Saudi Arabia. Shaykh al-Suhaimi, he is blind. In all the photos you will see him wearing dark glasses. He came to Bangalore, I think in 2011 or 12. He came and it was a really big gathering. The one who accompanied Shaykh Abdus Salam was a teacher. I don't know if he taught over here, forget, I won't mention him. A student of Sheikh. Sheikh Suhaimi is sitting in the end of that long room in darkness. He's having his food. Shaykh Abdus Salam arrives. Sheikh said from this door, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ya Sheikh. That's all. Sheikh Suhaimi, who taught Shaykh Abdus Salam about 25 to 30 years ago, he responds saying, Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. كيف حالك يا عبد السلام? He's blind. كيف حالك يا عبد السلام يا عبد السلام. Shaykh Abdus Salam tells me that I ran to Sheikh, kissed his hands and forehead. I started crying. I said, كيف عرفتني يا Sheikh? How did you recognize me, O Sheikh? Shaykh Suhaimi says, لا يمكن لي أن أنسى صوتك. It is not possible for me to forget your voice. Shaykh Abdus Salam told me that I tried to confirm. If someone informed him that I had come, everyone said no. He recognized you with your voice. These are some of the many scholars with whom Sheikh sat, and to the extent that Sheikh drank from the same vessel, the scholars drank. Like, he used to sit with the scholars, they used to drink milk, they used to pass it around, and Sheikh also used to drink in that. So that's the thing I used to tell Shaykh Abdus Salam all the time, that you came from that legendary era. Who are we in front of you? With this we'll stop today. We have 3 or 4 minutes. If you have any questions to ask, you can ask me. We'll continue tomorrow. Jazakallahu khair.